Hey guys, I'm Mike Goldstein of Easy Dating Coach here with Helena Hart. Today's topic, I'm going to read it. Avoid these 5 mistakes when he pulls away. Do these things to get him to chase again. Guys, before we get started, live stream, do me a favor and let me know if you can hear us all right. Just make sure our technical things are working. And go wild asking us questions. What our format's going to be today, we're going to be wildly organized, is we're going to go through the 5 mistakes when he pulls away. And then when we're done with that, we're going to do the 5 things to do instead. And then we're going to go through your Q&A. So we're going to try to go through the Q&A in order if we can, as best we can. So if you ask your question now, we will scroll back up. We'll do the best I can. And I'm in control of this, not Helena, so I'm going to mess it up. So I apologize. Helena's better at this than me.
I'm just more used to it, I think. I do this all the time. But yeah, so excited to be here. I can't wait to dive in. A lot of this is new material I've never shared before. So yes, so excited to talk about this today.
Yes. And guys, I'm so excited Helena's here. Not only is she one of my great friends, but in my humble opinion, and I know hundreds of dating love coaches, I think she's the very best at feminine energy, at understanding men. And not only does she give amazing advice, but then I see her out in the world. I see her with her boyfriend. I see her interact with myself, other men. She's just majestic and magnetic. And it's not only great advice, but she lives it and and gives it practically. So that's why she's here, because she's just unbelievable.
Wow, thank you. I didn't know you felt that way or were going to say all that. What a compliment. Thank you so much. Wow. Yeah, and I don't have anything that everyone in the world doesn't have access to, and these things we're going to share in this video today will totally help you, really, no matter where you are in your love life.
Yes. And guys, the ones that are asking questions, yes, this is live. We can see it. We're going to do your Q&A. If you want to let us know where you're at right now, that'd be wonderful. We're out in Los Angeles area, and we'll get right to it. All right. 5 mistakes when he pulls away. Do these things to get him chasing again. First, we're going to do the 5 mistakes. Helena, what is the first mistake?
Okay, so the first thing we want you to avoid doing when a man starts acting distant or pulling away, maybe you're in separation with the man you love, and it can be really confusing. You don't know what to do or not to do. So the first thing we want you to not do is panic or blame yourself or beat yourself up. So much of the time, and Mike, I would love to hear your experience with this as a man, we think that it's our fault, that we caused it as women. Something doesn't go right in our love life, a man's acting a little distant, we start blaming ourselves, we start replaying what went wrong, and we think that if we caused it, then we can fix it. And that's when we lean forward and make all the mistakes we're going to share in this live stream. So that's the first thing we want you to avoid doing. Don't panic, don't beat yourself up, don't blame yourself. So much of the time it has absolutely nothing to do with you, but when you try and fix things in that moment when you're coming from a place of lack, that's when you can push him further and further away. Mike, what do you think about this first one?
Wow, I knew I brought you on here for the right reasons. That's I'd say 97.5% of the time plus, it is not the person we're dating's fault. Mm-hmm. We're either stressed about work or stressed about something. It's always stress. It's stress that's being caused by who knows what. Typically work, family, kids, an ex-wife, you name it. Problems. That's why we're pulling away, and it has nothing to do with you. So you're 100% right.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we want to mention, well, at least I want to mention right off the bat, if a man's constantly doing this, if he's constantly pulling away or he gets too close, then he just backs off and he's really hot and cold, we don't want you to be with a guy like that, right? The kind of man we're talking about is just like what Mike described. He's a good guy. He generally wants to make you happy. His energy's coming towards you usually, but he gets, right now, maybe he's stressed, maybe he's really busy. I've really found that the passage of time is very different in the mind of a man. For women, if a couple days go by and you don't hear from the guy you like, it can feel like an eternity. Whereas for a man, they're so single focused that if maybe they're just busy working on a project, that time can fly by. They don't even realize it. So just like we're saying in this first mistake, it's not that he doesn't like you or he's losing interest. Often, sometimes it is, but in most cases, he's just busy, stressed with something else. Right, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. The story that always comes to mind is that couple that goes on the weekend away, or the week away vacation, and you go on this like amazing vacation where you like connect, and every day you're doing like, maybe you're at the beach and you're doing water sports and you're, trying new food and you're having drinks and just enjoying each other for a week. And then Monday morning comes back and he goes to work, and it's like, well, why, we were so connected. Why don't I hear from him? And you start freaking out. And it's really because he went back to work and now he's single focused on work. And he's like, I got this project, I got all these emails, I got my boss down my throat, I better get these things done. And he forgets, and he doesn't realize that he needs to check in. And, we'll get to this later, but you can actually tell him how you're feeling, and you can work with him and get him trained up that, this is how I feel, this is what I want. And it feels so good to hear from you. But, we'll talk about that more later. Yeah. But he just doesn't realize. And part of our job is teaching him, like, what's going on with ourselves so that he can, be a good partner.
Yeah, we did a whole video. It was a short video over on my YouTube channel together last year. I believe it was called How Men Fall in Love, or Do You Need to Let a Man Pull Away If You Want Him to Fall for You? Often men need to pull away a little bit. They're not conscious of it usually, but just to process their strong emotions and their feelings for you. If things are going good, or like Mike said, if you had a really intense weekend together or you went away on a trip, often men need to process those emotions, because it's when they're away from you and missing you, that's when they fall in love. It's a little different than how it is with us women, right? So just important to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Guys, we have a free gift that I wanted all of you to have. Helena's, this is an amazing gift. What we're going to do is plop it. It should be as the top comment, especially if you're watching this recorded. And then it'll be down in the description. I plopped it on the top. Helena, do you want to explain this amazing gift that you're giving everyone for free?
Sure, yeah. That's called 3 Keys to Attract the Man You Want. It's a PDF report, also an audio training. I know some people like to listen, some people like to read, and it's how to re-attract a man who's pulling away, or bring your partner closer than ever. Or if you're single and looking to attract the right man for you, this is everything you need basically to start off on the right foot and see some of your subconscious patterns and drives, turn them around so the right man just effortlessly shows up and comes towards you. So that's first link in the description, I believe, right?
It will be the first link. And there's more links, so keep reading if you want some more free stuff. But we'll go over more of that later. We got to keep moving. We got a lot to do today. Should I do number 2, Helena?
Yeah, we like to kind of go back and forth with these because we have so much to share. So yeah, I'd love to hear number 2 from you, Mike.
Number 2. I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up. We did a lot of research. Number 2, mistakes that women make when he pulls away is leaning forward and trying to get clarity when you're coming from a place of anxiety or lack. And I came up with some fun names for this. And you can either be, do you want to be Curious Kathy or Defensive Dana?
Oh, I love that.
So, I have an example. Let me use an example. I turned into Defensive Dana. So Defensive Dana, I was living with a woman, and she played on a softball team in New York City. And we would never, ever cheat. There should never, ever be a concern. That just wasn't in our DNA. We don't do that. We're one people. Anyway, she's out for softball. It's a nighttime game, and then she goes out drinking. And, normally, she's home at night. We spend the evening, then we go to bed together. Anyway, it gets to like 1 a.m., and she still hasn't come back. She hasn't texted me anything. Like, normally there's some communication. And I am not an anxious person. But I got in this, like, lack mindset and, like, got in this, like, she's out with men. It's New York City. Like, she's a beautiful woman. I'm sure she's getting hit on. And my mind just started going wild. And then my rational side kicked in, and I'm like, there's no way she's doing anything. There's nothing to worry about. But I still did something from a place of lack, a place of anxiety. And I ended up texting her, like, hey, just wondering where you are. And it didn't need to happen. I was doing that from a place of lack, a place of scarcity. I could have just realized, hey, we have a great relationship. Everything's fine. And we'll talk about what I could have done instead. But basically, I was being a defensive Dana and making her maybe go on the defensive, like, why is this person all over me? When, if I could have just waited till the morning or waited until she came home, I could have instead been curious Kathy, which we'll outline later. But keep in mind, you can either be curious Kathy or defensive Dana. What do you think of that, Helena?
I like that. It's like kind of like giving, yeah, I like that. It's like giving the person the benefit of the doubt. It's like a not guilty until proven innocent. It's more innocent until proven. Because if you don't trust your partner, what are you doing with them, right? Or if they're always backing off. I see a comment in the chat about someone who's always so busy. What do you want with that guy, right? I know it's easy for me to say that, but right, in general, his energy should be coming towards you, right? This is just for those moments when you're feeling anxious, you're feeling that urge to lean forward and do something and get that clarity. So I love everything you shared on that one, Mike.
Oh, thanks, Lena.
Yeah.
So glad you're here. Can we move on to number 3, the third mistake?
Yeah, for sure. I'll take this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3 is over apologizing or over explaining yourself. So this would look like leaning forward with a text. You're feeling anxious and you say, hey, I know the last time we hung out, a few days ago, I was really needy or insecure, and I just want to apologize for that. You're coming from a place of lack. Something I always say, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, Mike, is any action taken from a place of lack, or you could say anxiety or insecurity, is always counterproductive, and it always leads to more feelings of lack. For everyone watching, I'd love to hear in the chat, have you ever had the experience of, trying to pull something out of a man or apologize or grovel or like explain yourself or plead your case, and it just doesn't get you the results you were hoping for? It just always leads to more feelings that you were feeling before you reached out to do that. So that's why it's better to lean back, fill yourself up first, come from a more secure, grounded place, and then respond to your intuition. Then you could respond to him or respond to your impulses from there. So that's the third one. Over apologizing, over explaining yourself. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling lack, now is not the time to do that, right? This is the time to do some of these other things I'm going to share at the end of this live stream. What do you think of that one, Mike?
I'm curious, so the over-explaining, is that to get reassurance, or is that, why does the over-explaining happen?
Yeah, great question. I think as humans, it's probably a human nature thing. We all feel this need to explain ourselves constantly. And it's just not attractive. Mike, if you were, let's say you were in this situation, you were dating someone and they were just constantly explaining themselves, constantly defending where they stand. And I can do this, of course. We all can, right? I've made all these mistakes so many times. I just cringe thinking about it. It's so funny. But yeah, it's just this constant need to explain. It's this subtle thing we do when we don't feel valuable or worthy on the inside, deep down, right? So if a man's acting a little distant or pulling away and you feel this urge to lean forward and text him a long paragraph explaining why things went the way they did the last time or something like that, it just doesn't get you that result you're hoping for. Mike, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this though as a man. Have you experienced this?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can admit that I've done it, the over-explaining. But to your point, when it comes from a woman towards me, it does feel like she's lacking some sort of confidence in what she's doing. Mm-hmm. But I think for me, if there's ever some miscommunication, I would ask her questions. So if I need more explanation for a why, I think it's my responsibility to come towards her and say, hey, when you did X, what was that? Why did you do that?
I agree.
So, yeah, when I want the explanation, I'm going to ask for it.
Totally. And if you tend to be I think women who are watching this are probably more like myself. We tend to get anxious and want to explain ourselves, right? So you can just take this mindset instead. I don't need to make anyone understand anything. Right? All I need to do is be myself, be authentic, show up, do my part, and the right person is going to see that and see my value and know who I am, know they're interested, and come towards me. I don't need to constantly over-explain or over-apologize. Now, if a man's pulling away because you had an argument or something like that, I would say when his energy is coming back towards you, then if you need to apologize, absolutely. It's not about treating a man poorly and then just never having to explain yourself or apologize, but there's a time and a way to do it. And in my experience, my opinion, the time to do it is not when you're feeling anxious and you're trying to make something happen. That is just going to push him further away in my experience. What do you think, Mike?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're here. You're so good at this stuff.
Thank you.
All right, guys, real quick, I want to let you know down in the comments if you guys want coaching. We join forces, so it's not just me. And Helena took a little hiatus from coaching because she's such a rock star. She didn't need to do so much private coaching because she was killing it. I talked her into coming back because I was like, I really want to help women. It's so important. I'm so sick of the divorce rate. I'm so sick of women not truly falling in love and investing all this time and energy and not getting the result they want. So we built kind of this organization, this team that gets 83% of folks into relationships. And we also work with people that have been married for 5, 10, 30 years and just, want to rebuild that love. So if you want help either getting love or rebuilding the love, we'd love to help you. So you can book that strategy call. It'll be with me. And we'll see if it makes sense and we can help you. But we take this wildly seriously and we'd love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, it has the highest success rate in the entire country for getting his clients into relationships within the first 3 to 4 months. So we love working together. We have so much fun. We're real life best friends too, not just coworkers. And we have a blast. I have a call with one of our clients at, right after this. So we love changing women's lives. And yeah, if this is something you're interested in, we'd love to talk with you.
Yes. And we are super passionate about it. We're not going to rest until everyone falls in love. So we're going to do that. Okay. Which number are we on, Helena? Are we on 3?
We are on 4.
Oh, 4. See? I need you. You're the best. Number 4, that's me. I'm number 4. All right, number 4 for mistakes when he pulls away is confronting him or giving him an ultimatum. You can't force a man to want to be with you. It has to be something he wants to do. Can I give an example?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. This used to drive me nuts. And I'm sure Helena knows about this. She's got a boyfriend that likes to work a lot. I would be in my office, pounding away at some work and totally in the middle, hyper male focused. And my woman would come in at the time and she'd be like, "We need to talk right now." I'd be like, what? I'm working. If we were secure in this relationship, couldn't this wait till a better time when I'm not in the middle of something? So that drove me nuts, absolutely nuts. And I just had to stop everything because I had nowhere to go. And it made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's different. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's hard for women to understand that because men have this I think it's called transition time where they're doing one thing, they need a little transition time. Whereas women, I think it's the corpus callosum is I could be wrong on this. I'm just it's just coming to me right now. The thing that connects the 2 hemispheres in our brain. For women, it's spongier, and for men, it's more dense. So that's why they're more single focused. For women, we can switch topic to topic in conversation. We can talk about 50 things in one conversation. That's why when Mike calls me sometimes, he's like, "Can we have a more masculine style conversation and stay on one topic? I only have 5 minutes." So yeah, for men, they need in my mind, this would look like saying, "Hey, just to let you know, that's not okay, and you need to value my time," confronting him or giving him an ultimatum. Of course, it's okay to set a boundary and say some of those things, but when a man is pulling away, to lean forward with all your anger and kind of throw it at him when he might just be busy with something else, it's just not going to get you the results you want. That might be what you feel like doing, and if you want to try it and see how it goes, be my guest. But there's a time and a place to do these things. I think that's kind of the theme of this whole live stream, Mike. It's all about the way that you do it, right? So yeah, if you're feeling angry and you just confront him, that's not going to inspire him to step up and follow through, right?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Everyone watching this is a queen and is wildly intelligent. It's not that you don't know how to do it. It's not that you don't have the tools. It's kind of just the nuance of how you execute it, which is how things land and how you use your use of the English language to get him to the conversation, to get, the things that you want from him. Because counterintuitive. Men are so sensitive, sometimes way more sensitive than women, and it's all about their ego. And we really need to kind of make them feel good about themselves, so then they can give us the things. They can treat you like a queen. They need to be treated like a king as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they're also they're sensitive to the vibe we give off. So you could say the exact same sentence coming from a different place and have a totally different vibe. Just like Mike shared, you could be curious Kathy and say the exact same thing, or defensive, what was it? Defensive Dana? Mm-hmm. Say the same sentence, but coming from a place of curiosity rather than defensiveness, or vice versa. It's going to come across and land in a completely new, different way, depending on where you're coming from. So important.
Oh, yeah. And men are visual, so they see those cues and they're like, no, my woman's not happy right now. This isn't good. So they don't want, if those cues don't need to happen because you're just happy and curious instead of defensive Dana, then he's happy. He can respond to you in a place not defensive, but more of just like, let me tell her my truth so that she understands whatever is going on in my life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The right man's going to be absolutely receptive. He's going to want to make you happy. He's just, sometimes guys get a little clueless. They get busy. These things happen, right? So that was number 4. Anything else you want to say, or should we move on to number 5?
Let's do number 5. Give it to me, Helena.
Number 5. This is so important. This isn't something I've talked very much about before, but it's faking disinterest. And it just doesn't work long term. I see I don't know about you, Mike, but in the comment sections of many of my videos, pretty much all of my videos, women in this situation say, okay, this guy was ignoring me. Now he texts me. Should I wait 3 days to text him back? Should I ignore his text? He called and I ignored his call. It's like this game or some kind of technique or strategy, and it's totally missing the point. You can't keep that going forever. I mean, do you want a man to fall in love with you because of who you are, or some game or some technique you're applying? The games and techniques, they just don't work long term. Sure, it might get you a short-term result, but you can't, not only can you not keep it up for the rest of your life, it's all about him. Right? You're trying to do something to affect him. I'm going to pretend I don't care. I'm going to ignore his text to get some result from him. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Might work for a little while, doesn't work for very long. So faking disinterest, ignoring his text, playing games. Of course, if you're in the middle of something and he texts you, stay with what you're doing while you're doing it. But responding is a feminine energy quality, in my opinion. He texts you, you text him back. No problem with that. There's no need to wait, in my opinion, to wait a certain amount of days. It's like, just respond, right? If he's the right man, he's going to fall for you because of you, not because some technique you applied. That's my opinion. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, this was like your gold nugget. Like that, I had so many I don't know if you saw me, but so many facial expressions to that. It just, like these emotional roller coaster of games that get played back and forth is just so unhealthy, and that's why we end up in these unhealthy relationships. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, ooh, I'm gonna wait. Now I'm gonna wait. Ooh, the mystery of him. I haven't heard from him in 2 days. What is that? That's not like king and queen behavior.
Right, exactly.
That's manipulative behavior that should have nothing to do with a healthy relationship. When you're with the right partner, you're never curious when they're texting. You know what they're doing. Oh, they're probably busy at work. They'll text when they're done. Or, oh, here it comes. It's happening right now. They looked at their phone. Oh, they typically take a break. That's just normal. This is how their day goes. And there's nothing unexpected and crazy. It's not this roller coaster that's going like this. It's just a steady, every day is just it's getting a little bit better. You're clinking up the roller coaster to go for the downhill, for the fun part. It's not it's just steady. Okay, nothing unexpected. It's not some weird Disney movie that has to have a climax. No, it just goes nice and slow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when you have this down, you can do whatever you want. I know that sounds like crazy, but you can do whatever you want. If you know your value, if you know the right guy is going to come towards you. With Tom, my partner, I never once felt anxious, never once felt insecure, never once went, oh, I texted him 2 times in a row and I haven't heard back. It's and he feels the same way. The dynamic in that way never took up one second of my mental or emotional energy. It still doesn't, just never once. It's crazy. So you typically with the right guy, you're just going to know he's interested. There's no games, no back and forth behavior. If you're getting into the details of this too specifically, like, well, he texted me at 6:00, then I texted back at 7:21, then he waited 42 minutes. It's like the details like that don't matter. It's the overarching dynamic. Is he interested? Is he pursuing you? Is he showing up? Is he following through? That's what you want to pay attention to, not the minutia of how many texts you sent versus him, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when we segregate things, right? I mean, basically we're talking about chemistry and compatibility. And so like the chemistry comes in with kind of how you're feeling. Like, how do I feel like butterflies? And sometimes butterflies happen by, not hearing from him because you're like, oh my God, he's mysterious. But like ultimately, who cares about that crap? What we really need to be focusing on is, are we compatible? Are the values aligned? Are there no games? Is this man healthy? Is there no red flags? And if that stuff all looks good, then we've got something. Not this like, oh my God, I'm feeling something. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not going to last in 30 years from now. That's why our divorce rate happens. We get confused because, oh my God, like this is the guy. I'm feeling so many butterflies. And that can sometimes last like a few years, and you can have a lot of values aligned, but not enough. We really need to stay focused on, can this guy last for 10 to 50 years or however long this is going to last.
I'm so glad you mentioned the chemistry thing. I mean, for so many of us, certainly myself included, this was me back like 10 years or so ago. Our feelings of instant chemistry can be hooked up with the wrong kind of man, right? Our subconscious mind, I talk so much about this, let me know if I'm repeating myself, is it creates that spark of attraction with the kind of person that feels familiar. Right? We're so committed to survival and homeostasis that guy shows up, he feels familiar because he's emotionally unavailable, or he's hot and cold, or he makes you feel like you're not quite good enough. Our subconscious wants to say, you've survived this. This is a dance you know how to do. You can handle this. And it creates that attraction with the kind of man who fits into that old, usually toxic pattern. So the feelings of instant chemistry often that get stirred up in us, if we have a pattern of attracting and being attracted to partners where it doesn't work out, that feeling in and of itself doesn't equal true love, even though I know it can stir up emotions in us that might feel like love to you. It's not true love. It's almost, I would say, like an addiction. It's like it's an addiction. It's not love. So what we're sharing here, everything I share is about undoing that pattern and changing what feels familiar to you. So what feels familiar is the right type of person, not this hot and cold back and forth guy. Hopefully that made sense.
That made total sense. I just want to reiterate what you said, because that was your second gold nugget for me. Homeostasis is this pattern of dating the same guy. So once you date the wrong guy, he shows up again a few years later, and you think he's the right guy because he just reminds you of the last guy. And it's so confusing because you're like, wait a second, this must be it because I feel the things I'm supposed to feel. That's because we got used to this pattern. So then we got to shift that, get rid of that, and then get a guy that actually makes sense for us. Sorry, did I make that more confusing?
No, that makes sense. Yeah, or typically it's remind us, what love felt like to us earlier in life. That's where it starts, right? So if you had to work hard to win your caretaker's love, or you had a parent that was maybe had an addiction or depressed or just overwhelmed by the responsibility of being a parent, you're going to be attracted to someone who makes you feel like it's just whatever you do is never enough, or whatever the situation was earlier. And we get all attached to that. Luckily, it's totally possible to turn that around. That's what all my videos and programs are about. You can turn it around. So if you are in that pattern, don't worry. It's totally possible to change things.
Sorry, my words of appreciation made me have to put this up.
I saw that.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I love
it. I love it when you do that.
All right, sorry. I digress. Helena. Let's do my favorite part. So we talked about the mistakes. I hate to be a negative world of what women are doing wrong. That's like my least favorite thing to do. Let's talk about what to do right.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything to.
Well, I'm looking, every time I look over here, I'm looking at the comments. Someone asked if we can recap the 5. Do you want to do that real quick?
Yeah, I'd love
the 5 mistakes, and then I'll go into what to do instead.
You want me to read them out?
Yes.
All right. Number 1, panic, assume it has something to do with you and blaming yourself. Number 2, lean forward and try to get clarity when you're coming from a place of anxiety or lack. And do you want to be curious Kathy or defensive Dana? Number 3, over apologizing or over explaining yourself. Number 4, confront him, give him an ultimatum. You can force a man to want to be with you. It has to be something he wants to do. And number 5 is faking disinterest, ignoring his text messages when he reads out. This doesn't work long term. He has to fall in love with you. You can't keep the games going forever.
Yes, love it. Hey, Mike, actually, can you do me a favor? Can you put Diane's question up real quick? Because it relates to what we were just talking about with the chemistry. And I hear this all the time. It's such a phenomenal question. Yes. Don't you need to feel something towards a guy, right? And of course, and that's everyone's thing is, well, I don't want to end up with some boring guy who I'm not attracted to. In my opinion, my experience, what I've seen working with hundreds of women all around the world, real chemistry can be created. If you're caught in the throes of this pattern where you're only attracted to men who disappear or abandon you or who don't commit, real chemistry, real attraction, lasting attraction can be created. And I have a whole protocol on how to do that. But if anyone's interested, we can talk about that. But it's about opening up, expressing yourself, seeing how they accept you and love you. And the chemistry gets created over time. And most women I've worked with who, end up with a great guy, but had a negative relationship history say, I am so attracted to my man. I've never been more attracted to anyone. But at first I didn't really see how great he was. At first I thought he was just a nice guy. I felt, he was decent and he won me over slowly, right? Won me over slowly. And those guys we don't get obsessed with, right? Because we're not caught on this roller coaster. So that's my answer to that. I just wanted to, because we were just talking about.
Can I tell a story?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's such a good one. All right, one of my clients, Isabella, started dating this guy Nick. We sent him a message on OkCupid when we were using OkCupid. This was years ago, probably like 5-6 years ago. Anyway, messages Nick. They go on a date, and I'm like, all right, so what's up with Nick? She's like, well, the conversation was really good. He's so smart. He's a professor. He's written like 20 books. I'm like, cool. Like, she's like, but I'm not attracted to him like at all. I'm like, really? Like, how bad is it? She's like, there's nothing. There's no spark whatsoever. I'm like, all right, on a scale of 0 to 10, how was the conversation? She goes, 10. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. How about sexual chemistry? She's like, 4. I'm like, oh, that's really bad. If he asked you on a second date, would you go? She's like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know. What do you think? She says, yes, I'll go. Goes on a second date. I asked her, how'd that go? Same numbers, 10 and 4. I'm like, all right, cool. She keeps going on dates. Gets to date 5. I'm like, is there any chemistry yet? She's like, no. I'm like, have you guys kissed yet? She's like, no. She's like, it's still a 4. But he's working hard. He's been planning these like crazy dates. They've been doing like day trips and buying dinner, holding the door, helping her with her coat, and just keeps showing up, keeps texting her, keeps calling her, keeps planning even bigger and better dates. Finally, date 8 happens. She's like, Mike, Nick is the sexiest man alive. Mm-hmm. I go, what? She's like, we kissed. It was like electric, and he's just so hot, and I'm so all about him, and he's so nice, and he's so smart, and I just love our time together. Like, oh, okay. Fast forward probably about 3-4 years ago, I went to their wedding. Never met Nick.
Is that the one where he said, thank you for my wife? He came up and gave you a hug? Was that?
Yeah, never met him. I'm in the receiving line after the wedding. He doesn't say a word to me. He just grabs me, gives me this huge bear hug, and he goes, Mike, thank you for introducing my wife to me.
Oh my gosh, that gives me goosebumps. I love that story. And oh my gosh, I've heard that so often. For women especially, our feelings of attraction, we can talk ourselves into and out of even being attracted to someone, right? So, and Diane says, thank you. So I just wanted to cover that because I know I get that question all the time. So you're very welcome. I'm glad that was helpful. All right, can we do the 5 things? I feel like I'm taking this over. I'm just so used to running these. Should we get into the 5 things to do?
I'm not gonna lie. I like when you hop into your masculine side.
I
It's
know.
helping me because this is hard to do.
I was just
It's
gonna say
helpful.
nobody do. I'm always in my masculine when I'm doing these things because I'm ready, so don't do
It's
what I do.
helpful. No, it's helpful. I'm appreciating
Okay,
it.
I love
We've
that.
both got masculine and feminine. We're doing a little both. I love it.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's good to have both. It's good to have both. But okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So I came up with, Mike hasn't even heard these. I just wanted to come up with something special for your community because I love them. I think they're awesome. So I'd love to hear your take on this as a man. We're going to give you 5 things to do in this situation when you want to get a man's energy coming back towards you. 5 things you can do. I get that question all the time. Well, what can I do? What, right? So number 1, give yourself a timeline. Give yourself a timeline. You can say like, I'm not going to worry about this for the next 5 days. For the next week, I'm just going to take a vacation from stressing about this, from worrying about this. Not a timeline in the sense that I'm going to not call him for 3 days. Then, after day 3, I'm going to text him. That's still all about him. It's almost like you're in jail, just counting down the days until you can get out of jail. And you won't work on yourself. You won't change this whole pattern. You'll slip right back into the same dynamic, right? Give yourself a timeline to not worry about it, to just, that brings us to number 2, take your focus off of him completely. Right? Take your focus off of this situation. And what you want to do next, number 3, these all kind of build off each other, is retrain your brain to focus on what's right in front of you only. This is huge. So much of the time, our habit is I am obsessing about this man and thinking about him constantly, and he's not right in front of me. He's not contacting me, showing up on my phone. So that's just an old habit that you have to break. So it's like a new neural pathway you have to build. So if your old habit is I'm obsessing about this guy who's not here right now, what new habit are you going to build? And I say, if you can just retrain your brain to focus, all you need is 5, 10, 20 seconds of totally focusing on what's right in front of you. That gets you out of your head, into your body, gets you really present. And this could be anything. It could be going out for a hike, calling up a girlfriend, doing an online yoga class or a real yoga class, going to the gym, cleaning out a drawer or your purse, anything that absorbs your time, energy, and attention. An art project, a business project, anything that just feels good where time goes by and you don't even realize it. You're going to retrain your brain to focus on what's right in front of you. So important. And then these just keep building on each other. Number 4 is building up your life outside of him. Right? So those are the things that probably attracted him to you in the first place. You had a full life, you had a social life with friends and activities. And so you want to just focus on those things that have nothing to do with him right now. You're energetically creating the space for him to, each of these things you're doing, it's like creating more and more tension in the dynamic, if he's the right guy for you, to come back towards you. Then you can have a conversation. Then you can set a boundary or talk about some of these things in a way that works. And number 5, is there anything you want to say about these before the last one is so important. Anything
Keep
about
going.
1 through 4?
I'll talk when you're done.
Okay,
Go.
that's what I figured we'd do because these are just quick. Number 5 is this will change your whole life. I swear, all of your relationships. And that is let yourself be bored with this lack of momentum. We talked about this with the chemistry. If you can hook up your feelings of chemistry with a man's masculine action towards you, that's the whole thing right there. You don't need us anymore. You can just go live happily ever after, right? Then you really got something. So much of the time we feel this intense attraction and that instant chemistry with someone who's not going to be into us for the long haul, right? We develop this comfort zone where we're more comfortable with a partner or a man who's not 100% there for us than we are with a man who is going to be 100% there for us, right? And then a guy shows up who's a nice guy who's just ready to love and commit to you, and you just feel so turned off because that's not what feels familiar, what we were talking about earlier. So let yourself be bored. Just let it be boring. If you can, I'm getting so many comments like this in my videos on my channel. I'm starting to feel turned off with this lack of momentum. I'm starting to feel bored with this guy who's not doing anything and not stepping up. That's fantastic. That's it. So you're feeling bored and turned off when he's not stepping up and following through and doing what he's supposed to be doing or what he said he was going to do. And you're feeling turned on when he's coming towards you and acting loving and wonderful and everything's flowing really well. So those are the 5 things you can do in this situation. And I'm dying to hear what you think about those. I know you haven't heard those yet.
I love all of them, especially the last one. Like, get bored when he doesn't show up. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Like, it. The overarching concept of the whole thing is evaluate the relationship, not evaluate the man. Because we tend to do that. We look at the man and it's like, oh, he's financially stable, he's good looking, he's like all these things, like the check sheet. But then the guy that is, a decent guy, but then the relationship's amazing. Like, he's texting, he's calling, he's taking you on dates, he's making you feel special. Then we're like, he's coming, it's a little too much. Like, no, like, that's good. We want these things. Let's give him bonus points for being good at the relationship side. That's the guy you marry, right? Helena? Hello?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. There's always this weird delay on my end where it's like I can't hear anything you say, and then it's like speeds up really fast into the so hopefully that's only on my end. Usually it is. But yes, love it. Totally agree. So that gives you some things you can do. I know I saw some questions in the chat, like what to do with all this time, right? So you're not waiting for him. It's never about waiting for a man, ever, ever, ever. I get that question a lot. How long do I wait? And I say, you don't wait. You're going forward on your life. You think of like you're on a bridge walking towards your happily ever after, which is right now, right? It's not a destination. It's the journey you're on now. If a man wants to be on that journey with you, he's going to jump on that bridge with you. You don't want to follow him down some rabbit hole. If he goes off here, you don't want to sit here and wait for him, right? You're going forward, and the right guy is going to jump on and want to go with you, in my opinion, my experience.
I love that. Yeah, I want to go back to my story real fast about when it was 1 a.m. and I was waiting for my girlfriend. I shouldn't have been waiting. I shouldn't have been in my defensive Dana mode. I should have been in Curious Kathy and not waiting. I should have went and gone about my life. If I wanted to go to bed. If I wanted to see a friend. If I wanted to watch TV, just whatever I wanted to do it. And then from a place of abundance, tomorrow, the next day, whenever, when I'm just like kind of wondering where she was and doing it not from a place of like, you must have been cheating on me, but like, hey, how was your evening? Like, and then she would have been like, oh, it was freaking awesome. Like, it felt so good to like go out and have some drinks. Like, I haven't been out in a while. It felt so good to like stay out a little later. I just like haven't had time to spend with my friends in a while, and like, thank you so much for being such a supportive boyfriend and allowing me to do that. So Curious Kathy would have got a great answer. Instead of defensive Dana may have made her feel wrong to be out that late, which is never what I wanted. Like, I want her to be out. I want her to be having fun. That was just me getting insecure and then putting that out there. And that's ridiculous. It should have just, right?
Yeah, love it. It's a great analogy. It happens both ways. It happens with women all the time too. So I love that.
Can I tell how to solve my other story?
Oh yeah, I love your stories. I love being on your channel. I feel like I could just relax and listen to your stories all day. This is great.
Sweet. Oh no, it's not focusing. I'll fix that. Okay, problem resolved. So the working story. So the guy is intensely working, and you're like, I want to talk to him. All we need to do is come in and say, hey, I see you're busy, wondering when we can talk. That's it. Being respectful of his time, he's going to set something up, and this is good. So if he knows it's like 8 o'clock tonight when we're going to talk, at 6 or 7 o'clock, he can go have his food, he can relax, and then show up at 8 and be like, I am ready for this conversation, and I am ready to love you, and I'm ready to be supportive. Not when he's like, I'm working, like, you're forcing me to have a conversation. You never want to force a man. You want him to show up and be like, honey, I can't, like, yes, our talk, let's do it.
Love
right?
it. Yeah. And not only do you not want to force him, you can't. You just can't. It has to come from inside. It has to come from his own desire to want to show up for you. And doing these things will give you a lot of information. Is he, does he want to show up or not? Right. So I love that. You can't force him. A man might kind of go along and do what you want for a little while, but long term, over the course of your lifetime, you can't force a man to want to do these things. So super important. It's got to come from his own desire inside him.
Yes. And I apologize. I'm going to be looking at comments, and I suck at multitasking, so wish me luck.
Okay.
All right. Auntie Lisa Beepsy, Bo Beepsy. God, that's the best name. Can you just ask us more questions? All right. He's always so busy. Well, we'll have the same 24 hours in a day. It takes less than 2 minutes to reach out, but I'm getting breadcrumbs. Very painful. What do you think, Helena? What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
I saw a comment from Lisa right before that, I think, saying that he's ghosting. Right off the bat, without ever speaking to you, I would just say this is not the right guy. I don't know anything about your situation, but just in the energy of this question, I just don't, the right guy's not going to do this. The right guy's not, every once in a while, he might just be clueless or get busy. But if it's a constant thing, how long has this been going on? If this is just the undercurrent of your entire dynamic, get rid of this guy. Just get yourself a great guy who wants to be with you. That's my take on that.
And clearly, you're a queen. Your name is Auntie Lisa Bobeepsy. Like, let's just get so much going on. Like, let's go online and get you, like, so many guys pursuing you and so much action that you're not even going to remember that this guy exists. And so the guys that are actually texting you, actually calling you, you'll remember some of them that qualify. And then the guy who doesn't show up, you'll be like, I don't remember that guy.
Yeah. If you're married to this man for decades and you have children and it's not, like, we're not saying just drop it, but if this is just some guy you're dating and it's like, you don't want to start off on this foot, right?
Run the other way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, that is true.
So you guys are all experts.
That's what happens when we get Helena's community and my community together. You guys already know what to do.
I know the live chat in my live streams is like everyone's a coach, or they could be. They're all just experts at this now. Everyone helps each other out. That's that's our don't over apologize. Love it.
All right. Oh, yes, Elizabeth. That's the one. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally. We're saying it's where you're coming from that matters more than the words you say. Absolutely.
Oh, here's a good question. I love your take on this, Helena.
Is it okay to let him know what he did wrong, like not keeping his promises or responding so absolutely. I mean, again, it's all about where you're coming from. To like make him wrong, if let's say he hasn't texted you all day, to lean forward and go, hey, just to let you know it's not okay, blah, blah, blah. Very different than just do everything we're talking about in this video. He comes back towards you. I don't know the specifics of your situation, but you say, hey, I felt a little confused not hearing from you for a couple days. Is there something I should know? Or he goes to ask you out. He's like, he ghosts you for a week, then comes back, goes to ask you out for the weekend. You can say, it would feel incredible to go out with you. I'd love to see you. And, something you should, I'm just making this up off the top of my head. So hopefully this works. But, something that's really important to me is consistency. So in order to continue this connection, I would need to kind of know whether or not we're on the same page with that. Right? Very different as a response to something he is coming towards you with, rather than reaching out and just telling him everything he did wrong. Just completely different energy there. One is extremely attractive, boundary setting. One is he's just knowing that you're just waiting for him. He can do whatever he wants. What reason would he have to ever step up? What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, just like spot on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to say another word. You've got it. Yeah, you made my day. See, that's beautiful feminine energy. See, look, I'm all happy now. Thank you, Elizabeth. Oh, here's a question. If you can learn chemistry, can you also learn compatibility? What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, there's all kinds of compatibility measures and things you can do. That's probably I would say that's probably easier than creating chemistry, but creating chemistry can be super easy too once you get used to doing it. I think you can absolutely learn how to communicate the differences between men and women. That's what all our interviews and videos with experts are all about, right?
Yeah, and just something that probably everyone already knows, opposites do not attract. When you're looking at compatibility and people that actually stay together, same values, as many of the same things as possible makes relationships go easy. It's not like when you're looking at building a company. Well, actually, a lot of companies, when they start up, they want people that are very like-minded because it's easy for them to get along. But eventually, you need someone who is vastly different than you to do different roles than you. And that's what makes a company great. When you're looking at a marriage, getting someone wildly different is not a good idea. It's just going to make it so hard. Treat it like at the very beginning stages of a startup where you actually get someone who's very similar to you, so there's less fighting, less combativeness, and just how are we going to get from here to there? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Helena? Or do you want me to answer
Oh,
that?
yeah, we talked about this. If he takes, oh, yeah, I kind of gave my take on this already about don't fake disinterest. So, yeah, I'd love to hear your take.
Yeah, just be your normal self, but this just means get more options, get more things going on so you don't even care. And, like, if this is the way he's treating you, get disinterested, get bored, like Helena said. Like, ugh,
Authentically get bored. Yeah.
Like, this
Don't
guy's not
pretend you're
showing up.
bored. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Love it.
Let's see. See if we can answer this.
I don't think there's a question there. Oh, there we go. Oh, love it. Yes, love that. I think it's perfect. You got this. Yeah, you don't need any help from us at all. You're doing great.
This would be a good one, Helena. How do you refocus on yourself?
Oh, great question. Love that so much. Yeah, it could be anything. What were you doing before this man came along? What is it that makes you feel good? It could be anything. Anything that totally, like, time goes by and you don't even realize it. It absorbs your attention, your energy, anything. What is it that you've been putting off that you could do? Or what's something just fun that you could do? Could really be anything. Could really vary. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly
I say make it
said.
something fun. Make it something fun that feels good, that gets you in your feminine energy, gets you in the moment. That's probably the best way to refocus on yourself.
Yeah, especially something you haven't done in a while. Like, go, like, that's so exciting. Oh, I haven't done this in 3 months. I'm going to go do it. That really rocket ships your oxytocin levels and get you excited. Aunt Lisa Bo Beepsy, I'm bored with being bored.
That's good.
Good. Listen, if you're bored with being bored, you should get us as coaches, and you will not be bored because we will get you so many freaking male options that you'll not know what to do with yourself. You'll not be bored. You'll be like beating them. Aunt Lisa will have to get her bat and her broom out and start hitting the guys away.
Yeah, that's what
That
I'd
won't be
like.
boring.
Yeah, when you have options, you naturally get bored. There's no intense focus, and like I saw so many questions in the chat. Like, can I tell him I'm bored? Right? We'll get to that if you want, Mike. But there's not this. There we go. How can you tell him you're bored? There's other ones too. Can I tell him I'm bored? What's the purpose of telling him you're bored? Are you trying to make something happen? Are you trying to do something? Are you trying to get him to step up? Just from the energy of those questions, I would say, why? Just if you truly are becoming bored, he's going to feel that. He's going to know that he needs to step up his energy. If you're doing this, the way that we're suggesting. To me, can I tell him I'm bored?
Ooh, can I answer that?
Yeah, it just feels like you're trying to do something. It's all about him. That's my opinion. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, as the man, I think sometimes it's nice to know you like him. Like, if there's any ambiguity or confusion, it's okay to say, like, it would feel so good to get, like, if you would pursue me, if you'd ask me out on a date. And now that you've put it in his court, like, you've done that, and you can still have your other things happening. Now he's got to come forward and step up to the plate. But if some woman says to me, here's what's going to happen. If some woman says to me, Mike, I want more effort from you, one of two things are going to happen. If I like her, I'm going to put a shitload more effort in, and I'm going to get it done. If I don't like her, I'm going to do nothing because I don't want to do any effort because I don't like her. So by coming forward and saying you want more effort, you are going to get the result you want. He's either going to do it or you're getting rid of him immediately. Yeah. Which is amazing because our goal in all our interactions with men is to get to a yes or get to a no. Yes, life partner, no life partner. We don't want to be in maybe world. And, most of the time is spent in maybe, but our goal, or at least the goal with coaching for me, is get women to yes or no's very quickly so that we can efficiently go find you a guy that's going to be your yes forever.
Yeah.
So
Totally
that will
agree.
speed it up.
Totally agree. Yeah, men are not that inferential. They don't drop hints. Don't go, "Hey, I'm bored. I just want to let you know I'm bored," because you're trying to do something. To me, that just feels like, "Ugh, get away from me." If someone were to say that to me, make direct requests, just like Mike said, coming from your feminine energy. From my experience, my opinion, yeah, it would feel incredible to see you or have some consistency, whatever it is you're asking for. I don't know the details of your situation, but make direct requests when he comes back towards you. Don't lean forward and go, "Hey, just to let you know I'm bored." Like, what's he supposed to do with that, right? Just let him know what you want. He'll either step up or he won't. And I love what you said. Yeah, it's either they're a 0 or a 1, and you want to just get rid of all the zeros. You know, the faster the better to get you to that 1, the 1 for you quickly, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the one you said, it would feel so good to see you. Like, that just so resonated with me as a man. Like, you're giving me the green light. You're not going to reject me. And, like, as a man, I am scared to ask women out. Like, I think I'm going to get rejected. But when you say it would feel good to see you, I'm just like, well, now I can go all out. Like, now let me go plan a good date. Now I feel safe to do research. Now I'm going to step up my game. Before, I was like, does she want to see me? I'm not sure. So that really makes it safe for a man.
Totally. With anything. Yeah, I did a video a while back. I think it was a live stream actually with Tom, my partner, and he was saying that that in the beginning I said, "Oh, it feels great to hear your voice at the end of the day." I was just kind of reinforced. I didn't even realize I was doing this, but I was reinforcing him when he would call, like, "Oh my gosh, it feels so good to hear from you." He's like, I knew my call was welcome. I didn't have to like go up in my head going, "Am I pushing too much? Am I coming on too strong?" I knew what you wanted. I knew you like hearing from me, so I went ahead and called you every night that I didn't see you. It was a no-brainer. So it's important to be able to have that skill of asking for what you want or reinforcing what you do like, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm trying. Mike, you are so close at saying my nickname, but that's okay. I'll work on that. Energy is everything.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about the 2 communication styles? Because I think this is so important.
Sure. Yeah. Lisa just commented communication is vital. Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about one of them and I'll talk about the other?
Sure. You're talking about figurative versus structural?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know.
We just like read each other's minds. We don't have to talk anymore. We just communicate telepathically. Yeah. Structural would be every word that comes out of my mouth. I'm saying this word for a certain reason. I'm putting these words in this order for a certain reason. And I mean exactly what I say versus figurative, which is more the emotion behind. Oh, you explain figurative if you want, Mike.
Yeah.
I was taking over again. Yeah.
So energy is everything. That means you may be figurative because energy is like how you're receiving the word. So it's less important the precise use of the words, and it's more important of like, I'm here and I'm giving you my energy and I'm so excited to see you. And as you can imagine from watching us, both Helena and I are very figurative. So we don't always have the great structural use of the words. Like sometimes we're like kind of hoping you figure it out by our emotion. And so what's interesting about this is it's vitally important that you date someone who's the same as you because it makes life so much easier. Because if you're a figurative and you're dating a structural, my favorite story that I've heard over and over again is this couple was dating. They lived together. And the woman happened to be figurative. The man happened to be structural. And she goes, "This relationship's over. I'm so over this." So he goes in the other room. He's packing up a suitcase and about to walk out the door. And she goes, "The heck are you doing?" He goes, "You told me the relationship's over. I'm leaving." She goes, "No, I'm just upset. Like, I'm just upset. Like, we can talk this through. Like, I'm just upset in the moment." He's like, "Oh." So that type of confusion can be avoided when you find people that have your same communication style.
Yeah, totally. Beth just asked, are guys more structural? Yeah, it's surprisingly, it's not a gender thing. Like Tom, my partner's figurative. Mike, you're figurative. I have a whole live stream on this on my channel with Larry Michael. That's our friend who kind of owns this technology, whatever you want to call it. So we want to give him credit for that. It's on my, I think it's called The Hidden Factor That Determines How Long Your Relationship Will Last. So interesting. That's how Mike and I have the same profile. That's how we found out we're like the same person, basically. Just our attractions are different. Our attraction styles were different. Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. Helena, what else do you want to talk about? And guys, if you have any more questions, pop them in there. We may be finishing up unless you guys have more. This will be one of our shorter live streams, but that's fine. If you guys have more questions, get them in now, though, because we'll stop if we got nothing left.
Yeah, I see a question from Hendra. If he came on strong and he expressed it's just up a little tiny bit. There we go. If he came on strong, he expressed a lot of inner situations that have happened in his life. He used to call most days. Now it's purely texting. I feel his past trauma is still affecting him. Yeah, so you can always ask, feels so good. He texts you, you respond, right? With, hey, it feels great hearing from you. A phone call would feel lovely sometime. What do you think? And if he keeps texting and doesn't call, you might want to draw a line in the sand, stop responding. You let him know what you wanted. If it's truly, important to you. I mean, if he's texting, but his texting is making plans to see you and you're seeing him 3-4 times a week, then that's fine. That would be fine with me. You have to, what's the sweet spot for you? What is it that would feel good to you? Yeah, totally fine to express what would feel good and just see what he does with that information, right?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of discussion. Like, I've been getting a ton of comments, and I see a ton of comments on Helena's channel and mine. Is this feminine energy, masculine energy? It is still wildly feminine to say, for example, in this exact case, like, it would feel so amazing to get a phone call. Mm-hmm. That's not hopping into your masculine. That's giving the masculine guy some direction. That's still being feminine and not being like, hey, you never call me, or picking up the phone and calling him. That's still feminine. It's just giving him a roadmap on how to make you happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think some women think, and I've been getting this criticism a lot on phone calls, like, oh, Helena's telling me, for example, just totally lean back. And it's not just leaning back. It's leaning back strategically by then offering what you need. Yeah. And that's exactly what she just illustrated.
I call it making requests from your feminine energy. You're going to go check out my free gift in the description. I believe I talk about it there. So yeah, absolutely. It's fine. If you're leaning forward and saying, hey, just to let you know, I'm bored, trying to make something happen, that's being results oriented. That's masculine energy. But if you're like, hey, it would feel good to hear your voice. It feels great texting. I'm feeling a little burnt out on texting. It would feel so good to hear your voice. What do you think? And then you just see what he does, because you're not attached to the outcome. It's like, does he call or not? And if he doesn't, if he doesn't care about your needs and desires that early on, what kind of partner do you think he's going to be? So it's just information gathering, basically. It's being process oriented with it, not results oriented. I'm saying this to try to make him do this. Feel the difference there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What if he's a narcissist but doesn't know he is?
Drop him, move on. That's don't engage with that. That's my opinion. Don't engage with a man like that.
I gotta tell this story. This was ridiculous. I was on a third date, Helena, and I was hiking with this awesome woman, and she's fabulous. So we're hiking, and we passed this one couple that was probably in their 50s or 60s, and we kind of actually kept going back and forth with them because, we would get tired. It was hot out, so we took a break. Then they'd be in front of us. Then we'd pass them. So we passed them a few times. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this woman goes to my date. We're on a third date. Well, really, it's the first date. We're in coronavirus, so this was our first physical date, like in person. And she goes, oh, are you pregnant? And my date is mortified. Like, no, I'm not pregnant. And I was like, I couldn't believe this was happening. Like, I was mortified. Like, first of all, my date was beautiful, and like, that's just absurd. But my poor date, like, felt very uncomfortable. And where was I headed with this story? Oh, now I know why I told this. So then she was super gracious about it. It was like, no, I'm not pregnant, but, like, thanks, and have a good day. And then we're walking up and walking past, we're way past them. She's like, I should have, like, stood up for myself. And I'm like, actually, what you did was so sexy. Like, you just handled it in stride. And honestly, like, you're fantastic. And it's not your job to deal with that jerk or that person that doesn't know the nuances of being socially correct, if you will. Like, you shouldn't ask a woman that. It's not your job to fix her. It's your job to just know you're gorgeous, you're fabulous, we're on a date, we're having a great time, let's just go enjoy this hike. So to this narcissist, not your job to fix him, we know he sucks, we're moving on. Does that make sense, Helena?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like that. Yeah, you, a lot of times I get questions like, well, what, he keeps coming back, he keeps trying, but it's like, if you're opening that door and allowing him to, if you're engaging with men at a certain level, it's just, it can be a downward spiral. I'm going to do a whole video on this, I think, because then you keep, you're kind of sending this signal out to not just him, but the universe. Like, this is what I'm available for. I'm okay being treated poorly, or I'm okay. Crumbs is all I can handle. This is all I'm worthy of. I'm okay with this. And you just keep attracting men at that level. And then you start developing beliefs like, oh, all men over 40 don't want to be in a relationship, just some crazy belief that you just made up. And then that keeps you even more stuck. It keeps you even more, attracting evidence to confirm that belief. And it keeps you from disengaging because you think nothing else better is out there. It's like this vicious cycle that you don't want to get trapped in. So yeah, if something doesn't feel good, don't glue yourself to it, disengage from it and move forward, right?
Absolutely. Dawn Southwick, do you coach widows? I'll answer that. We coach widows 100%. Actually, a lot of our clients right now are over 60.
Yeah.
So our over 60 folks are just fabulous. They've, some of them have been married, divorced, widowed, every scenario. It's really a great partnership for us. Our over 60 folks bring a ton of wisdom, life wisdom, and then we kind of bring that internet savvy with what's happening with online dating and just some of the nuances. So it's really a great partnership, and we, a lot of dating coaches were straying away from the over 60 crowd, and Helena and I've kind of just really fully embraced and jumped in. And believe it or not, we've been finding way more success than our colleagues in helping these folks get relationships. So yes, widows, we help all the time, and having a lot of good luck with it at the moment. So hit us up. We'll be happy to help. Helena, did you see a question that you wanted to answer?
Oh yeah, he asked if he could call me. I said okay. Then he didn't. Yeah.
Which person?
The very last question at the very bottom. Yeah, it's just a comment. Yeah. So if he doesn't, watch what he does and see how it makes you feel, right? Is he doing what he says he's going to be doing? Such an important quality in a potential partner, right? If they make a bunch of promises and then they don't deliver on them, that's such good information for you to have, right?
Absolutely. I will say one thing about setting up phone calls. This is just a small nuance. Like, he should have called you. But set up a time. We know what happens with these things. We, we have them on silent. We have them on vibrate. We may miss it. Always set up your phone call dates or anything, like set up the specific time so we make sure it happens.
Yeah.
And then if the guy, you set it up for 8 and he doesn't show up, that really looks bad on him. And that's, no bueno.
And you can you don't have to say, hey, call me at 8 o'clock. You can say, okay, great. I'm free in the evening today and tomorrow, or sometime on the weekend would also work. Give him some options, right?
You're welcome. 55 and ready for love and kindness.
Awesome.
Come on.
Yes, love that.
Ready to help. Here for you. Sorry, I have to put this up because I love this. I was in the community for 20 plus years, and vocal coaching often helped a lot with the pitch and variation of one's voice. I'm Italian and often express with my hands. Bo Beepsy, me too. I'm with you. The hands are in. Okay. What happens to a woman doesn't say anything, only replies when I text and is always working?
I don't know if I understand this question.
Does that mean this Taz is a man
Probably,
texting a
yeah.
woman? Yeah, that's confusing. Maybe you could
Always
rewrite
working.
that.
Yeah, it just sounds like she's probably not showing enough interest.
Okay.
My whole screen just went blank. Hopefully it didn't for you. Didn't. Okay.
No, I can still see. It says yes.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, it might be time to move on if she's not interested.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do you want a woman that's not that interested in you? You want a woman that is interested. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, go pursue
Yeah.
someone else.
Always working is, I don't know. But always, if it's always something, I came up with this term working with one of our mutual clients that we have. I'm like, beware of Mr. Always Something, right? There's always something preventing him from being able to take you out, or right? It's like, well, he needs to get his financial situation in order. He needs to figure out his job. He needs to move. His dog got sick. There's always something preventing him. And this work thing, I hear all the time, you know. If it goes both ways. You know, if someone's truly interested, they're going to make it a priority. Absolutely, right?
Mm-hmm. Helena, I'm going to put you on the spot because I like making you uncomfortable.
Great.
Helena,
Yeah.
if you had to give one piece of advice to women that could change their love life, what do you think is the one thing that you think, like, is the game changer?
One piece of advice just in general that could change their love life.
Yeah.
I'll make it specific to this topic. I was talking to Tom about this. He's just got home, so he might be walking through the other day. I'm like, the longer I do this, you know, the longer I think the advice just is letting go of the wrong ones, not staying attached to the wrong ones, to make yourself available for the right one to find you. Like, that's it, where it's just easy and it flows and there's no games, there's no anxiety, right? Of course, things come up from time to time and you work through it, but just in general, I think the advice is really just letting go of the ones who aren't right so you can make yourself available and not get stuck in that cycle I was just talking about where you start engaging with people on this level, then you just become comfortable with that and start attracting more and start developing beliefs. This is all that's out there. And which keeps you more stuck. I think it's just disengaging with the unavailable partners, with the ones where it just doesn't work. It's just not flowing easily. I think that's the advice. And I know that's like so easy for me to say, and it's the hardest thing, right? But if you can do that, you're going to get results really fast.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So spot on. And it's like, from a male perspective, like when you meet a woman like that, which is pretty rare, it's just like so magnetic.
Yeah.
Which, you know, explains Helena's life and why, you know, men come towards her and why Tom comes towards her. Just, that's how she behaves. So,
well, yeah, it just becomes like second nature, right? It's not a game. It's not a strategy. It's just a whole new way to live your life, right? Just knowing your value, only accepting the kind of treatment you truly want and deserve. And that's it. I mean, it sounds so simple, and it is so simple. That's the brilliance of it. But I know a lot of us have a lot of, patterns, and habits in our way that we have to kind of undo.
All right, Auntie, I'm never going to be able to pronounce it.
You can do it, Mike. Just practice it. It rhymes with Lisa, right? Lisa.
Bo Beepsa?
There you go.
Bo Beepsa? Was that it? Touchdown?
Bo Peepsa, right? Like little Bo Peep.
I don't know. I wish we could allow them to talk.
I know, right?
Yeah, this would make that so much easier.
That would be the next generation of live streaming. We can actually talk to you guys. That'd be awesome.
And then we could put her video in.
That was so good.
Let's go, YouTube. That would be fun. All right. Well, guys, go in the comments, go below, and go get Helena's free gift. There's so much more behind her free gift than just this one gift. There'll be more emails with more information, more free advice. I've been on her email list for years now, and I've learned so much from Helena, and you should get on there. And then if you guys are just like done with this whole dating by yourself thing and want a team, namely us two, go sign up for a strategy call, and we'd love to help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Tom just got home. I got distracted by the good-looking man walking into the room. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So first link in the description. Get the free, totally free. So yeah, please go check it out, and then also set up a strategy call with Mike. Right? If you're interested in working with us personally. This was so much fun. Thanks for inviting me on. I'd love to do this again sometime.
Of course. Thank you for coming. Isn't she like so phenomenal and like a genius? Thank you, Helena. And everyone, thank you for watching.
This was awesome.
All right, guys. We'll see you next video.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. Have a great rest of the day. Yes, we'll see you soon.
Bye.